What's going on, everyone? Today I have a very special video, a story of a past life. Well, not really a past life, but a story that has helped me get to where I am today. And there is six figures somewhere in the title, and my intention is to be as transparent as possible with this. I know there's a lot of scamming and other stuff that's going on in this industry, and it's not really my main focus, but I want to give you some insights on what I've done and some steps you can take to get there as well. So we're going to sit back, sip on some beautiful, I forgot what kind of coffee, and just have a chat. Sit back, do a monologue style video, and have a good time, and hopefully you can learn some lessons. All right, where to begin? So, starting way back when I was a kid, maybe 13, 14, 15 years old, I started to develop a tenacious mindset. I knew what I wanted from an early age because I saw what other people, older people that were supposed to be role models, were not doing. Right? You can take a look around and you can see the state of the world. I would say most people are not living a life that they intended to live or wanted to live, and it's not there. This is just a bad state of the world for being a role model for young men or anyone that really wants to break out of the status quo, right? So that is what I want to talk about here. So when I was young, I wanted to start lifting weights, and that's what I did. I'd hide away in my room, and I would take my dad's adjustable dumbbell set, and I would do like chest press on the floor, and I'd do wrist curls because I wanted to see veins in my arms and all of that nonsense. But that eventually led to me relying on people on the internet like this. I would rely on people on YouTube to teach me about fitness. I would seek out the truth in those areas, and that's exactly why I'm here, is to try and give truth rather than some facade lifestyle that isn't sustainable. But that led to me wanting to be a fitness YouTuber, and I tried that for a long time. I didn't see much success with it, and now I'm back. But I eventually started learning marketing disciplines because I read that those were the best route to go, especially to become a freelancer, because I always wanted to do creative work, right? And I ended up, I tried I tried so much different shit, dude. I tried a lot. I tried drop shipping, failed. I tried starting an actual e-commerce brand, failed, and I borrowed like $3,000 from my dad. He was very supportive. I'm very grateful for that. And some people don't have that opportunity. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But I lost that $3,000 in product and ended up going like $8,000 to $10,000 in credit card debt with my first credit card, which isn't good, right? And that was all from like buying $1,000 courses and spending money on ads and throwing money into ads. And I wouldn't take that back for the world. That taught me a lot. One, that taught me the basics of ads. It taught me that courses are in fact valuable if you can filter, you have a BS filter and you know which ones are kind of scammy. But I also tried like a digital art page on Instagram. I was actually pretty good at that. I made Photoshop composites, and that taught me Photoshop, right? I dove down the Photoshop rabbit hole. I started creating Photoshop composites. Now that helps me create different things for my business now in terms of graphic design, like content or thumbnails or designs for my landing page. It taught me a lot, right? I had the whole shiny object syndrome of hopping business model to business model. I tried freelancing with a bunch of different things. So Facebook ads, what else did I try? SEO. And then eventually I settled on web design because I took a class in college closer to right before I dropped out, actually. But it was on the basics of coding, so HTML and CSS, right? And the very first class, I went to the very first class, I started learning HTML. right? It made sense to me. It kind of clicked with me. And it seemed very fun and something that I wanted to pursue. So after class, I would go to the library. I signed up for like teamtreehouse.org and started learning on my own, self-educating for learning to code. And then eventually I went on Udemy, bought like a developer boot camp, learned a lot. And over the course of like 6 months, I decided to drop out. I decided to try and freelance with web design, and I built projects. I created my own portfolio. It wasn't very good, especially as a beginner, and I think that's necessary, right? You need to go through that trial and error. But eventually, I got a few clients, like low ticket, like $300 to $500 clients, some $1,500 clients, but it wasn't enough to sustain me, right? I was living in a house with six other dudes, right? I was living in like a big frat house with six other people. There were two people sharing bedrooms. It was a mess, but it was fun. And even then, I couldn't sustain myself, so I had to get a part-time job. I got a part-time job, tried to make it work. I was going more and more in debt, couldn't handle that. So uh, by that time, I was in a pretty fucking bad place, right? I don't want to say depressed, definitely not clinically depressed. I was like sad, anxious, stressed, very, very deep in my emotions. And then I got on a call with my dad. He was like, "Hey, you learned all this coding stuff. Like, why don't you just try to get a job in that?" So, long story short, I applied to a few jobs. I actually got the first job that I applied to in coding. That's the cool thing about tech and all this new age stuff, is that you can self-educate and actually get a decent paying job. So I worked that job for a bit. I learned a lot more. It was a web design agency. So an agency is like freelancing. It's a client-based business where it all relies on the same thing. So I learned a lot about what I should actually be doing in my freelance business. And then I connected the ideas between that and the courses that I previously took on freelancing. And it all started to make sense. And my freelancing business started to pick up. I would actually do a lot of the freelance work at my job because I'd get all my work done and then I just work on the freelance stuff. And eventually I was able to quit that job, right? I made a good amount of money. I definitely made over six figures. I don't think I made six figures in a year with that, but I was pretty close. But then after that, I started on I started on other platforms. So that's how I made my first six figures, was with web design, through self-education, through understanding the whole client business process and marketing and stuff like that. And eventually it became more than that. I started doing funnels and different types of funnels for personal brands on Twitter. And that's when I actually started growing on Twitter. And that's my first like effort, or it's actually my like sixth or seventh effort at building a personal brand, but it actually started to work, and I understood the online landscape a lot more and how that money transfer happens, right? How to make money like in any situation. So I started growing on Twitter. If you follow me there, you know I'm a pretty big account now after maybe like 2 years. And I initially sold a web design product for freelancing, teaching people how to freelance with it. And once I stopped freelancing with web design, I turned that course into, I rebranded it in a way, right? So I still teach web design, where like I'm teaching you how to build websites and landing pages, but it's positioned in a way that it's for your business, right? And then I also have the one in there, it's called High Ticket Essentials, where I teach people, this isn't a sales pitch, right? I teach people the basics of like how to create an offer and find clients and land clients and stuff like that. And I also created a Twitter growth course, which gets a lot of hate, but I do think it is very valuable for people that don't know how to do it and want to understand it. And it's very affordable. But as I said, this isn't supposed to be a sales pitch. This is how I created another stream of income through this, right? I created a course with the knowledge that I've had, and it's kind of like that's another way to go about things. Digital products and courses and e-learning are a very beneficial and profitable way of making money while providing value, right? It's teaching the lessons that you've learned. That's all business is, right? You're doing something for someone in exchange for money, or you're just giving them the knowledge to do it themselves. Done for you versus done with you versus do it yourself. So I made a good amount of money with that. I have not crossed the six-figure mark in terms of digital products, but with consulting, I started consulting because it was more aligned with me, right? I had the knowledge, I had the experience, I already made my web design business work, I made the funnel business work, I made the digital product business work, and the consulting business makes a lot more sense for those people, right? You do have to put in that initial work. And you could start consulting right out of the gate if you've seen success for yourself, or you've built up that social proof where you like worked with clients for cheap, you got them results. That's what it's all about, right? Is results and social proof. Real results and social proof, not the fake one. And so that's kind of what I do now, and how I am consistently crossing that six-figure mark is through digital products, and then having consulting on the back end and helping creators, personal brands, influencers, any solo based client / product business with their marketing and their social media and other stuff like that. So the point of this all is to just give you some ideas on what you can actually do in this online landscape, because there's so fucking much that you can do, right? This is the path that I chose because it aligned best with who I want to become and what I enjoy doing. I love making these videos. I love writing tweets about lessons I've learned throughout life. I love consulting people with a like-minded mindset about these topics. And that's the cool thing, right? Is once you're in this game long enough, you can start to choose who you work with. Since I've put in the 2 years of growing on Twitter, I can work with other people on Twitter or potentially YouTube or Instagram and help them and work with them. And they're people like me, right? They have a different expertise than I do, and we work together. I teach them something. If I wanted to hire them, I have hired other consultants and coaches for like performance and productivity and other stuff like that. But that's the thing, right? You get to choose who you work with down the road, and it becomes much more fulfilling and much better. But you're never going to get to that place if you don't start and actually just start getting that cash flow and start learning and start self-educating and understanding the online landscape and getting some real world results with it. That's the main thing here, is getting real world results, right? If you want to start growing on Twitter, feel free, start doing it, put in the effort, learn whatever the fuck you have to grow. If you want to grow on Instagram, if you want to grow on YouTube, do the same shit, just figure it out. That's really it. Anyone can grow. This is my philosophy right here. Anyone can grow on those platforms if you just take the time to understand it. If something isn't working, change it, try it, have a persistent mindset where it's like, hey, this is going to work out eventually if I just get the right angle or the right positioning or the right tweet, the right YouTube video, the right Instagram post. That's really it, is just iteration, getting better and refining your process over time, and persistence, being able to stick through that and not just settle for something that you don't want to do, right? Because it's comfortable, right? You have that paycheck coming in, it feels good, you're okay, you can sit down, play some video games, but it's not fulfilling because you're going to be doing that for 40 years of your life. If you're anything like me and you're watching this video, if you're anything like the people that I work with, right, that's my target audience. I'm talking to people that vibe with what I have to say, right? So if you do have that mindset, I encourage you to actually make this work. Like, don't fucking settle for some bullshit that you don't want to do. It's not worth it at all, and you have 40 years to make this work. Who gives a fuck if it takes 10 years for you to see some success from it? At least you will see some success from it, especially I've said this in the previous like 2 videos, the age of abundance, right? Anyone can make it right now. You are still extremely early to this online landscape shit. You are so early. And I'm sorry for going on a rant, but that's the kind of videos I want to create and the kind of videos I like. So cheers to that. And I'll end it there because I don't think much more has to be said, right? I don't need to expand any more on that. So I appreciate you watching through the whole video if you have made it this far. And if you want to learn from me, you want to subscribe to my newsletter, whatever, it's all in the description below. And of course, if you like this video and you want to spread something that's not just like some like scammy shit that's trying to like put up a facade and make it seem like it's like super simple or something. It takes time, it takes years, and you have to learn and go through the process. So if you want to spread that information and you vibe with me and you enjoy this kind of content, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button because it helps, and share this video if you are compelled to do so. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.